Good morning. I'm here. I'm Jessica, and I just finished a power walk, so the hair is a little crazy and the face is a little red, but whatever. I'm clean. That's all that matters. And unlike my usual sort of long-winded rant about one particular book that I like to do today, I wanted to share a sampling, because yes, this is only a sampling, amazingly enough, of some of the books that I have acquired since December. Yes, since December. And I am totally okay with the fact that this is a very large amount, including all of the ones that I decided not to get into because you don't need to sit here and listen to me for 2 hours, because I haunt the thrift and the antique mall. That's what I do. So all of these are delightful, but not books that I ever pay a whole lot of money for. So that's sort of what I like to do. So without further ado, here we go, because I'm excited. And also, once I finally film this, I can put all of these books on my bookshelves and not have them sitting in piles on the floor anymore, which is how they've been for longer than I care to admit outside of a court of law. So here we are. First off, oh yes, okay, yes, I wanted to do these first. So I actually found both of these in 2 different places, but I decided to talk about them together because they are by the same man. So one of them is called Look Homeward, A Life of Thomas Wolfe, which you probably can't see because, as I complain about every single video, I'm using a very old camera and it hates to focus. So I'm very sorry. But for all of these, I think I'm going to put the titles and authors at the bottom of the screen. So hopefully, fingers crossed. But yes, Look Homeward, A Life of Thomas Wolfe by David Herbert Donald. And Lincoln's Herndon by, as it is printed on the side of the book, David Donald. He was not yet going by David Herbert Donald. And the reason I grabbed both of these is because one of my absolute all-time top 5 favorite nonfiction books that exists is Lincoln by none other than David Herbert Donald. It is an absolutely incredible book, and incidentally, the one that I would recommend if you're looking for like a one and done situation about learning about Abraham Lincoln's life. I would say this is the one. It is glorious. It is amazing. So, feeling as I do about that particular book, when I found, as I said, at 2 different places, these other 2 books, earlier works of his, and I believe this Lincoln's Herndon, which is about, I believe, the man who worked with Lincoln when he was a lawyer. They shared a law office. Do not quote me on that. It's been a while since I Googled it, but I think that's right. A co-worker, if you will, who then had a very interesting trajectory after Lincoln died. Anyway, I think this was the first work that David Herbert Donald ever wrote in the 40s. Once again, don't quote me on that. It would have been really great for me to look at all of this. 1948. Well done, brain. So I'm quite thrilled to have both of these, and this one in particular I had seen before at a different used bookstore way back in the day when I lived in North Carolina many moons ago, and it was still a bit more expensive than I wanted, but I was sad because I, recognized the author even at that time. So I was thrilled to find this for, I think, $2.50. So can't beat that. So hooray, starting off strong. Nobody's a bigger Lincoln nerd than me, so anything tangential to that, I'm here for it. Okay, next, I found this one at my local libraries. They just have sort of a continual, like, for sale room. It's a fabulous library right near where I live. I've never gotten so lucky with a library before, but they just have a continually operating room of books that I think they get through donations and things that they have up for sale for not tons of money. And I saw the, you know, Oxford World Classic spine, which my eye is always, gravitates toward. I always pick those out and I always look at them. I don't always get them, but I do always look at them. And this particular one is called The Lady's Paradise by Emile Zola, which I had not ever heard of at all, which is always intriguing to me. And it is fiction. It is a novel, apparently. French, I believe, originally in French. It's been translated for this edition. About, let's see, it says, it recounts the spectacular development of the modern department store in late 19th century Paris. That line alone, I was like, yep, great, perfect. And I love the cover. The cover is gorgeous. And it was in really, really good condition to be at a library book sale. So, yep, A+. That was a win. Next, we have a book that I am very sorry to say I know next to nothing about. I'm questioning why I decided to put it in the talk about pile, but it's called Half of a Yellow Sun by a woman whose name I'm absolutely going to butcher, and it's going to be tragic, and I'm going to hate myself. But it is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm so sorry. That was terrible. Again, will be written out at the bottom of the screen. I believe this is a novel. Yes, I believe this is fiction. The reason I don't know anything about it is because my absolutely dear pen pal sent this to me and thought that I would like it, and I have not yet, looked into it very much at all. I do believe it is about a story in Africa in the 1960s, and that is it. So basically, I trust Bailey implicitly, so if she thinks that I will like it, I'm pretty sure I will. Thank you. Thank you, Bailey. Next, this is actually a very rare thing for me, a new book. I know, I don't get those very often, and the only reason I have some of those in this pile is because I got Barnes & Noble gift cards for Christmas. As I always do, it's sort of a tradition now that my older brother gets me a sizable Barnes & Noble's gift card for Christmas, and I really look forward to it because after I get that, it is sort of the one time of the year that I get to go as a queen into that store and get whatever I want and not have to worry about my innate cheapskate tendencies. So this particular book is called They Thought They Were Free by Milton Mayer, which I have known of for a while and could not find a used copy that I was happy about, so I was delighted to buy a new copy. And it is basically Meyer, however you pronounce it, Milton Mayer, was a journalist, I believe, an American journalist, but he had German and Jewish heritage, I believe. And after World War II, he decided to go to Germany and interview some former, I don't know if they were Nazi Party members or just sort of average Germans who had supported the Nazi Party, and talk to them and sort of figure out why and how the average German person would have decided to invest in this. And as I said, I've wanted to read it for a very long time. And the subtitle, which I should have said, They Thought They Were Free, subtitle, The Germans, 1933 to 45. So doesn't that sound fascinating? Oh, wonderful. One of the other new books that I bought with my gift cards is called When Trees Testify, Science, Wisdom, History, and America's Black Botanical Legacy by Beronda L. Montgomery. I don't think I need to say anything else. Just immediately yes. Shoot it straight into my veins. Like, yes, I will be buying this. I will be reading it. Thank you so much. Doesn't that sound fascinating? I'm so freaking excited about it. Nonfiction, as you could probably tell from the title, but I mean, even just the first few sentences, the histories of trees in America are also the histories of Black Americans, which I totally co-sign, and that's actually something I've thought quite a bit about for several different reasons over the course of the last decade or so. So I was just absolutely beside myself when I saw this title. I was like, in cart immediately. Thank you, gift card. The next one is another book that I've wanted for a while because I had seen it referenced multiple times, either in another nonfiction book that I was reading or a lecture that I was listening to. And so whenever that starts happening with a book, I tend to put it on my wish list to at least investigate a little bit. And this was one of those, and it is called The Slave's Cause, A History of Abolition by Manisha Sinha. Yay, look at that. I did not appreciate from any of the online pictures how big. None of the online imagery really conveyed the doorstop nature of this book. I'm not upset about it. I love a long book. It's totally fine. I just had no idea. And this was one that I actually ordered online through the Barnes & Noble website. So when it showed up, I was like, oh, okay. But anyway, sounds totally fabulous. I cannot wait to read it. It's gonna take a while, probably. But it's quite naturally floppy. I like a naturally floppy cover. So that's good. All right. Next, oh, I feel like this one is a bit boring, but oh well. This is The Odyssey by Homer, which I actually already had a copy of. I read it in high school, so it's been a hot minute. But I wanted this particular edition because this, as I learned 6 months ago or so, I think, is the first translation of the Odyssey ever done by a woman. Emily Wilson has done this translation, and having had a different copy translated by a different person who I now realize, like, I should have grabbed that copy so that I could have told you. But being the absolute nerd that I am, and knowing that I've also found Odysseus to be frustrating to a certain degree, I was really fascinated by the idea of seeing if and or how this translation by a woman was different from a previous one. So yes, I want to do that. And I realize that that will probably be quite laborious and slow, but I just, as soon as I learned about that, I was like, ooh, I would really love to have that. So also used my gift card to get this. So we'll see where that takes us. And then I have two more big old doorstops, and I found both of these at the same used bookstore, which I was quite shocked because they both look pretty much brand new to me, but they are both biographies. One is of Frederick Douglass, and it's called Frederick Douglass, Prophet of Freedom by David W. Blight. Pretty big. Look, oh, look at the picture on the front. Can you stand it? I can't stand it. And this won a Pulitzer Prize. So, okay, interesting. And I am definitely a Frederick Douglass fan. I actually have a copy. Oh, look, it's right there. I can actually grab it. Yay! Frederick Douglass's Selected Works. I have that here. And then I have a couple of other books that have some of his writing in it. And I read his autobiography in college for my African American literature course, which was absolutely fabulous. And that you should, his autobiography, you have to read it. It's electric. So having already had that background, I've been wanting to check out this biography for a while, and so I found it at a used bookstore, as I said, in almost pristine condition. Wonderful, yes. So yep, definitely doing that. And then this one, I have been stubbornly waiting for this to show up as a used copy because I absolutely refused to pay full price because, as I said, I am very cheap. And incidentally, I wanted to use my Barnes & Noble gift card to buy it, but the only copies that I saw at the store were a little bit dinged up, and I was like, I'm not paying full price for that. So I continued to very stubbornly wait for one to come across my path in a used bookstore, and it finally did. This is Grant by Ron Chernow, who also wrote, I think, the pretty well-known biography of Alexander Hamilton and the pretty well-known biography of George Washington. He has a type. And I have wanted to read his biography of Grant for a long time because I find U.S. Grant very interesting as an American historical figure. Very, very interesting man indeed. And I was beyond excited to finally find a used copy in very good condition, I might add. Beautiful, beautiful. So yes, that was wonderful. Yay. All right. We're about halfway through. It's fine. This book was a Christmas gift from my husband. Yes, from my husband. And sounds incredible. It's called Return to the Middle Kingdom, One Family, Three Revolutionaries, and the Birth of Modern China by Yuan Sung Chen. Again, I'm very sorry if I butchered the author's name. I probably did. But yes, this is sort of a combination of biography and history, in which the author has documented the lives of multiple people going back to a certain time in their family, which I thought was conceptually really, really interesting to tie biography and history together like that. And I quite embarrassingly am not particularly well versed in 20th century Chinese history and, you know, its development and its political changes and all of those types of things. So I was really excited to see this, and hopefully it will give me a little bit more information about a subject that I don't have a deep knowledge of, which I always love. So yes, I thought that sounded very, very good, and we'll see where that goes. So hooray, Merry Christmas to me. This next one, I have a local used bookstore that I go to not super frequently, but every once in a while. And I had seen this book sitting on the shelf there for many, many months, and it always caught my eye, I think because of the colors. It's called Fly Girl by Omar Tyree. And just that cover, like the art, the colors, something about it just really captured my attention. And I always looked at it and was like, I don't know. And then after probably like the fourth or fifth time of seeing it, I asked myself, Jessica, if you come back the next time and it's not here, are you gonna be sad? And the answer was yes. So I finally bought it. This is a novel. This is fiction. I think it goes without saying I didn't label them as such, but the last three were nonfiction, obviously, as biographies. But this is fiction, and a novel about a teenage girl, I think, and she is sort of coming of age. I think it's a coming of age novel, and I think it sort of incorporates different, it says an urban classic novel, so I think it takes place in the city. And I think it incorporates ideas around hip-hop and black urban life and those types of things, and it just sounded very interesting, and I had not embarrassingly heard of this author before, so whenever that happens again, I'm always like, okay, time to check this out. So I did that. So yes, hopefully that is good. And I think that this Fly Girl is one of three. Like you can think of them as a trilogy, but you don't have to read them in order. Like they each stand alone on their own. So I guess we'll see if my understanding of that was correct. Okay, next we have, ooh, I was very excited about this. This is Witness by Whittaker Chambers. And I love learning about sort of pivotal hinge point conservative American figures, particularly in the 20th century. I don't know why. I find them so interesting, and I think one of the most interesting, maybe vying for top billing with, William F. Buckley Jr. is Whittaker Chambers. Fascinating, a kind of tragic man, I think. And I've known of this book of his called Witness for a very long time, and have done a fair bit of digging into, the Alger Hiss trials and all of that he is so pivotal a part of. And he's just the most interesting, strange figure. And his journey from being a member of the Communist Party to being, writing for National Review, right? So interesting. And as I said, this is another one of those books that would pop up as I was reading different things, particularly in the nonfiction space. And so when I found this used copy at the thrift store, and it was like $2, and this is a fairly large book, I was like, ooh, hooray. So hopefully I get some interesting information out of this. I have read a few pieces of his, shorter pieces. He has a very famous book review, maybe his most famous piece from when he was writing in his later life in the magazine, National Review, of Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. So I've read that. I read a few other sort of shorter things of his, and very interesting writer, interesting man. As I said, I find him quite tragic, but anywho, yay, hopefully this will be good. I'm always happy when my patience pays off and I find a book that I've been waiting to find very cheaply. This was actually not a book that I had been waiting to find cheaply, but when I saw it, I was like, buy immediately, because it was a title that I recognized and had heard of multiple times and just never thought I would find a used copy, and again, in such good condition. And it is called The Mad Woman in the Attic, The Woman Writer and the 19th Century Literary Imagination by Sandra M. Gilbert and Susan Goober. And this is a very, to my understanding, well-known, pretty famous book. Like a feminist classic, I believe. And it's literary criticism, I think, as you could probably tell from the title. And just sort of discussing, as the subtitle says, the woman writer and the 19th century literary imagination. Yes! Once again, shoot it into my veins. And I love this particular copy. I love the spine. I don't know if this, if the camera's going to pick it up. Probably not, because I don't have a great camera, but it's not black. It's actually this really, really, really dark purple. And then it's got all these little pink accents, including the eye coming through the keyhole. I just love that cover art. So hooray! Love that. Was absolutely thrilled. This, I found this at a thrift store. I think it was $1, because it was also in the 50% off bin, which, like, I went to the checkout sort of feeling like I was committing theft, right? And like had to have the game face on, because I was like, this feels wrong. Because it is an autographed copy. The author has signed it. And it's called The Empress is a Man, Stories from the Life of Jose Sarria by Michael R. Gorman. Yes. Yes, and I had not heard of this person. I had not heard of Jose Sarria, who is apparently a known figure in the gay community, and I was just like, oh, wonderful, like that sounds so interesting, yes. And it's autographed, and it was $1. Like, I just don't understand, but yeah, and the author wrote like a whole note, not just their name. Again, I don't know why I'm bothering to do this, but they wrote a whole little thing which is also very, very interesting. I thought it was really interesting what the author wrote to Dave. Dave, apparently. But it was really interesting. So yeah, I was tickled for that. Wonderful. Then this was very cheap, like very, very cheap. I can't remember, but Goodwill? Not sure. It's not in the best condition, but it is Blackwood Farm by Anne Rice. And Anne Rice is one of those authors that I constantly think, you know, I should read her. I would probably really like her based on different commentary I've heard of her and knowing like a very small amount of surface information about her fiction. I should do it. And I just haven't. Like, there isn't really a good reason why I haven't, but this is the second book of hers that I've found. The other one, I can see it, Interview with a Vampire, you know, her sort of, one of her really well-known ones. And this is also, yeah, the Vampire Chronicles. So I want to read her. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. I think it would be a good time. I think I would like it. So I have now bought 2 of her books. So I'm sort of hoping that will spur me to read them. So I don't, as it's probably obvious, I don't know a ton about this particular one of hers, but feel free to tell me if it's one that's good or you know, less popular in the canon, whatever. Okay, next. Oh, I found this one at the antique mall, actually. I also found one of those David Herbert Donald books at the antique mall. Anyway, not important. Focus. So this is called Badland, An American Romance by Jonathan Rabin. And it has a lot of stickers all over the front, which I didn't love, but it was, as you can probably see, it was $2, so we're gonna let it slide. But yes, Badland, and apparently won some awards, and it is basically about the American West, mostly talking about Montana. Yes. You know what, I haven't done this for a lot of them, I'm just gonna read the back. In 1909, maps still identified eastern Montana as the Great American Desert. But in that year, Congress, lobbied heavily by railroad companies, offered 320-acre tracts of land to anyone bold or foolish enough to stake a claim to them. Drawn by shamelessly inventive brochures, countless homesteaders, many of them immigrants, went west to make their fortunes. Most failed. In Badland, Jonathan Rabin travels through the unforgiving country that was the scene of their dreams and undoing and makes their story come miraculously alive. Doesn't that sound great? I love that. And normally I would be more bitter about the stickers on the front, but one of them on this particular book, and it's very faded and you almost can't see it anymore, but this book was originally $14 at the Strand in New York City. And I love things like that because whenever I see something like that on a book or anything else really that you would find at a thrift store or whatever, I'm just always like, how did you get here, right? Like, you were in New York City and now you're very, very far from New York City in a totally different place. Like, what journey did you take? And I'll never know, and that's upsetting. But I don't know, I'm always so fascinated by that. So yes, this sounds very good. Hooray. 1, 2, 3, 4, only 6 left. Okay, next we have Fire in a Canebrake by Laura Wexler. The title was the first thing that because I saw it sitting on the shelf and it just had the title on the side. I was like, Fire in a Canebrake. Right, like that really grabbed me. I was like, wow, okay. And then when I read the subtitle, which is The Last Mass Lynching in America, okay, you've got my attention, Laura. And it was like $2. And yeah, it talks about the last mass lynching in America in the 1940s in Georgia. And it's a bit of a, I don't know if expose is quite the right word, but an examination of that. And I absolutely love the book, oh gosh, is it called Devil in the Grove? I think that's the title. I'll try to put it across the bottom here if that's totally wrong. I absolutely love, it's an incredible book, and that also talks about a murder of Black Americans, or attempted murder, maybe would be better. No spoilers. In Florida, not in Georgia, but in Florida, also in the 20th century. It's sort of like a true crime. Oh, it's so good. You have to read it. It's so good. Yes. So having read that and thought it was fascinating and obviously not like fun and wonderful, but I think it's important history to know, for the Southern United States. When I saw this, I was like, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. I'm all in. All in. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, oh, this is nerdy, but I'm really excited about this one. So this is America in 1857, A Nation on the Brink by Kenneth M. Stamp. First of all, I love the choice to make the date in the title that big. Like, yeah, commit to the bit. I like it. And Kenneth M. Stamp is a pretty well-known historian. I think he taught at Berkeley. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's correct. And he is basically in this book describing, obviously, America in 1857, just sort of all the cultural and political things that were happening in that time, that are sort of leading up to the boiling point that is the Civil War. And as previously stated, I am in, you know, Abraham Lincoln's Civil War nerd. So when I saw this and I recognized the name of the author, I was like, oh, yeah, yep, we're doing that. Next, this is fiction. This is Yellow Wife by, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so mad. I don't know if it's Sadiqa or Sadiqa Johnson, but here it is. Beautiful cover. The cover really, really grabbed me. I loved the cover so much. And I believe this is historical fiction. Born on a plantation in Charles City, Virginia, Phoebe Dolores Brown has lived a sheltered life. Shielded by her mother's position as the estate's medicine woman and cherished by the master's sister, she is set apart from the others on the plantation, belonging to neither world. And, I mean, there's obviously more than that, but, yes. So, again, 19th century historical fiction, talking about life experiences of a Black woman, and yeah, she unexpectedly finds herself thrust into the bowels of slavery at the infamous Devil's Half-Acre, a jail in Richmond, Virginia. So again, I don't know what my deal is with like finding books that absolutely do not discuss happy things and being like, oh, I have to read that. That is so typical for me. I don't know what that means about me as a person, but it sounded so good, and like I said, the cover art was beautiful, and yeah, wonderful. Next, we have An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser, which is a pretty famous book, and I immediately recognized the title, and I haven't read anything of his, but he's another one that it's like, oh, I think I would like it. I probably should, but I just haven't yet. And this is quite an old copy, and it is not in fabulous condition at all, but I think I paid like 50 cents for it, so we're not gonna quibble, and I want to read it, so I have no idea if I'll like it, so I'm happy to pay 50 cents for a beat up copy, right? That's fine. And then if I don't love it, I can, you know, redonate it and don't have to feel bad about it. But I did, even though it's very hard because it's got so many sort of cracks and spider webbing on the front, I did love the cover art, which I'm not sure if you can see. But yeah, An American Tragedy by Theodore Dreiser. And there's just something about that cover I really loved. So yeah, we will hopefully all read it and see what we think of it. But yeah, I was happy with that, even though it's a little beat up. And then another one I found that was a little bit beat up, but that was okay. I was totally willing to do that. Pay for a beat up copy because it was not very much. Whenever I find a book that I am unfamiliar with and I find out that it is from a different country, it's not American literature, and it's especially if it's from a country that I have not read many books from, I'm immediately intrigued. And then if I find out that it's been written by a woman, ding ding ding. So this checked all of those boxes. And this is called Kristen Levransdatter, probably butchered that. That's the title. 3 or third, The Cross. I don't know much about this at all. I believe it's 3 volumes, but I don't know if this particular book has all 3 volumes in it or if it's just one of the 3. I'm assuming since it says like third on the title here that it's just one of 3. So I'll have to look into that. Probably should have before I started the video so that I could give you better information. But it is by Sigrid Undset. Again, tragic butchering. I'm so sorry. And what country? Norway. I believe this is a Norwegian book, and so I was just very intrigued. I didn't know anything about this, and whenever I find something that I'm not well versed in, my curiosity gene kicks in, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I will have to look into this and hopefully read it and see what I think of it. But on the back here, it says it was the winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature, so I have to assume it's not terrible. Yeah, so cool. Wonderful. And last, I don't know if this is best exactly, but I did want to save it for last just because it felt the most exciting, interesting story that goes with it. So I was in a thrift store, shockingly enough. That's my life, basically. And I saw this book. It's called Reimagining Equality by Anita Hill. And I immediately recognized the name Anita Hill because, as we all know, she is the incredible woman who testified against Clarence Thomas, who now sits on our United States Supreme Court. Different story, different day. Focus it. But she very bravely testified against him and basically explained why she thought he would not be a great person to be on the Supreme Court, and you know, she's been proven correct as a true queen, and she's in her own right even beyond that. I think that's what a lot of people know her name from, but she's just a really interesting person, and just has had a really incredible life, and she has written books, obviously, and so one of them is Reimagining Equality, Stories of Gender, Race, and Finding Home. So I found this, and I was like, yay, Anita Hill, right? Like, huzzah! You know, like, she got done so dirty in the 90s. Incidentally, oh no, do I have it? I bet I don't. Oh, yes, I do. Look, oh, it's a terrible copy. Oh no. If you want to know more about Strange Justice, Strange Justice, The Selling of Clarence Thomas. My front cover is like totally cracked off. But if you want to learn more about Anita Hill and the whole Clarence Thomas Supreme Court situation, yes. Anywho, yes, I found this book and I was like, hooray. And this is what I'm going to lecture you. Always check the insides of the books. At the thrift store, at the antique mall, whatever. It is signed. I could just cry. Apparently for the 25th anniversary YWCA Leader Luncheon, which I also love, and it's a sticker. She signed the sticker and then the sticker's been put in the book. So I was beside myself. I love this so much. Yay! So that made me so happy. This was one of the most exciting little treasure trove finds that I had. So that's what I wanted to end on. I feel like it's a lie to say that's it because I'm sitting here staring at multiple more stacks of books that I decided to not include. But if for some insane reason you want another video, but part 2, talking about more books that I found at the thrift store, let me know. But yes, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy. Hopefully I can get to some of these soon, and I hope you have an amazing day.